Okay, welcome to the Spiritual Revolution podcast. I'm Jill Ogle, and today I have with me the incredible Nathan Francis. He has written a book called Breaking Free. He has a podcast of the same name, and he focuses on coaching teenagers and young men. So, welcome, Nathan. Oh, we've got Ollie guest appearance in the background. He's found a treaty.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me, Jill. I really appreciate speaking on your platform and to your listeners and to your viewers. That's if you have video and audio. But yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, welcome aboard. It's great to chat with you. So tell me first how you got started, because I know that we're going to have an absolute bucket load to talk about, but tell me how you first got started. Like, coaching young men, coaching teenagers, you must have had some sort of something go on for you to wake you up.
Yeah, so 2020 happened, I think, for a lot of people in this space. 2020 was my big wake-up call.
You too? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had a buddy of mine that was from where I'm from. His name's Dale Holmes. Some of your listeners might know who he is. He's pretty influential in the Truther community. He was from where I'm from. So I was always mates with him. I did a university placement with him, and I was like 23 and didn't have any idea about the real truths of the world. And he was just breadcrumbing me in that mentorship. Did it through my university. So he sort of just mentioned microwave food and genetically modified corn and just a couple of seeds. And I went away and researched them as I did back then. I thought, there's something to that. But never did anything about it until 2020 started. I hadn't seen him for a couple of years. And we're walking, my brother and I went to the local sports store, and lo and behold, Universe brought us together. There's Dale over there, and he comes running over and gives me a handshake and a hug. And, I was a big believer in it back then in March of 2020. I was like, whoa, what are you doing, mate? Don't hug me.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, then I'd just finished watching the Jeffrey Epstein documentary on Netflix. Now, back then, at the end of that documentary, before they heavily edited it, said that this was a worldwide scale operation. And I was like, something inside just went ping. Yeah. There's something here that I need to look into. Yeah. And lo and behold, the next day, there's Dale. And I said, look, Dale, I see what you're posting. I've just watched the Jeffrey Epstein doco. He was surprised I even watched it at this point. Yeah. And I said, look, mate, what's Australia's involvement in this whole thing? Like, where do we sit? He's like, mate, it's a fucking cesspit. And I went, give me some names. So Rachel Vaughan, Fiona Barnett, Rena Michelson, and then down the rabbit hole I went on the World Truths. And that 2020 World Truth journey was where my self-sabotage and my drinking and partying and sleeping around really kicked into gear, because I was dealing with the world as I saw it out there as one big giant lie. And I went through all the levels of the lies that we're being fed here. And I just went, this is like, I'm just going to swear, this is fucked. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward into the start of 2021, and it was the Nathan, where are you lying to yourself healing journey. That started the Nathan, you need to go into your truths and your lies and the way you live your life and the things you're doing and why you're doing the things you're doing, and then working out that truth that existed within me. And that was the journey that just set the catalyst for where I am now, because it was like an onion, just kept stripping back. And I'm still stripping back layers now. So 3 or 4 years later, it's a never ending journey, but you just go deeper each time. And back then it was, well, these women are coming into my life and I'm just doing my thing. And then we get to this stage of, are we exclusive? Are we dating? And I would just head for the hills and bolt. I'd be like, I don't want that commitment. And it's like, Nathan, why don't you want that commitment? Why are you drinking every weekend and thinking it's a great time, where you wake up on the Sunday, you're feeling shit, and then the Monday comes around and you're still feeling shit, but then by Friday you're just doing this cycle? Like, why are you doing this? Where in your life are you running away? And I was always inquisitive and asking those questions. I just needed the answers. And 2020 was great because I was able to get the world truth answers, and in the mirror moment, Nathan's truths just projected themselves back onto me. It's like, well, where in my life am I lying? The world's lying to me, but where am I lying? And it was just this big thing. And
good
my
on
moment
you.
came. Yeah. But my moment came in 2021, where it was September AFL Grand Final weekend. It was a night grand final that year, I'm pretty sure. It was Melbourne and the Bulldogs. I went to my cousin's house for a gathering that we shouldn't have been gathering for back then. It was, anyway, I was talking to three young girls on a plastic table, and they would have been at least 8 years younger than me. So I was 26. I'd have been just turned 18, 19 maximum. And I fell through that table like 5 o'clock in the morning. But 12 hours prior, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not drinking. I'm not partying. This is my last night. Go and have fun. But I fall through that table. Now, that table moment I talk about a lot set the catalyst for where I am now, because it was the moment of, are you going to keep repeating this pattern and then it's going to filter through to my kids? Or are you going to stop here? Well, I don't have any kids yet, but are you going to stop now and go on this path? And for me, I chose the growth, the healing path, because the next day after that, I'm laying on the couch, I'm pretty hungover, pretty whatever, and Dale suggested to another friend of mine that he interviewed Jason Christoph, and he was talking about self-sabotage, subconscious mind, why people do the things they do, and the programming behind it. And I was listening to that going, oh, I tick that box. I do these things and they happen. And then I'm like, why did that happen? But then I don't really know why. It was all subconscious programming, all these belief systems that I had about me that weren't even true. So I was like, I need some help. I reached out to him, did his coaching program, and little by little, inch by inch, I just started to strip back those layers, because I was starting to learn about the subconscious and how my programming was influenced and where it came from. And a lot of it is from childhood. 0 to 7 is a very, very, very special time of a child's life. They learn all these things from influences that are not themselves. It's parents, it's friends, it's teachers, it's TVs, it's iPads, it's TikTok, it's all these things.
100%. And it's people say kids are sponges. We're not joking when we say that.
No.
that's that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
And it's actually been found that, I mean, obviously you can get programmed while you're in the womb as well. But with epigenetics, you can actually go back 13 generations. So, you're not even living your life. You're living someone else's life. And it's just, it's just.
And that was the big slap in the face for me. It's like, well, I had that said to me from that mentor, Jason. He's like, that's not your life. That's someone else's version of who and what you should be.
Totally. And people have no idea how controlled they are by this.
Yep.
They have no idea how controlled they are by their subconscious programming, because it's subconscious. Like, that's the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was, and then so I talk about 0 to 7. Well, it was 8 years old where I started watching porn. So my perception of women was through porn. My perception of sex and wasn't really lovemaking was through porn. I had nearly 20 years of porn programming just as one layer. And it's like, that was something that projected themselves onto the screen that I latched onto, because I was getting dopamine and the attention and all these things. But I was also feeling a certain way as an 8-year-old. I was already confused, didn't really know how I was feeling or why I was feeling that way. That was just an escape for me to run away. Yeah. So what happened was, porn was where I went. I ran there. I ran to the bottle. I ran to the woman. But once I stopped the casual sex thing, once I stopped the drinking, like, where was Nathan going to run to? Well, he ran to porn still, but I had to go on a journey of not limiting. I stopped contact with basically women for 3 years to go on a journey to learn about what I am, who I am, what I want, what I desire. And to actually, if we talk about sex energy, it's basically a USB into a computer. So I had all these women's stuff in my field that wasn't mine, because I was just that USB, just plugging it in anywhere I could for about 8 years of my life. So I had all this stuff there that wasn't mine. So I had to strip all this back and be like, who am I? Why am I here? And what do I want to do? And how do I want to step out into the world as a man? Because I was just a little boy for such a long, long time. And that was basically my story. And but there's so many more layers to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask you 2 questions, because I think that there's, I kind of think about this a lot, that there's no real kind of initiation in our culture of becoming a man. And I think that would be such a vital, important, passage that we could create for our generation. I mean, not just becoming a man, but becoming an adult, like
Yeah.
I know so many women that are like, I feel like a child, in a grown-up
Yep.
suit. It's like, um, so there's that. But then I want to ask you, like, I mean, watching porn, being sexually active, masturbating, whatever, at a young age, like, what was your childhood like? Like, how did that come about? I mean, it's normal to explore, of course. Um, but yeah, I'm just curious, what were your parents like? What was it like growing up? Big
It
siblings?
was, I always thought that this was normal, safe, and that was the subconscious thing of it seeks safety, it seeks familiarity, and it seeks comfort. So I seeked that in other ways. As a child, school was up and down. I was one of those kids that always asked questions, didn't really listen to what was being told, and I didn't really follow much instruction. I was not conditionable in that system. But then I ended up being conditionable later on because it got to a point where it's like, well, I'm going to keep getting in trouble. So I stopped getting in trouble and just fell into line. And that filtered through the house too, because I was always that child that would be sent to his room, but then wouldn't sit there. I'd just open the door and walk out, And I was always that disobedient black sheep child that
Mm,
just wouldn't do what he was told because I knew deep down somewhere that I was right.
mm,
And I always had this thing of I had to be right all the time. So for me, yeah, some things went on in my house that that is quite normal out there in society today, but back then probably not.
mm.
And that sort of shaped who I was. And I was running away from dealing with those emotions that were involved in what was going on. And it was the fact that I fell through that table to then go on the healing journey and discover that, hey, you're playing out someone else's story that's not actually yours.
Mm.
You're about to do things that people in my family have done. I'm about to have that come into my life. I don't want that. I'm going to go this way. It's like I made this. It's like spirit as
Mm.
well, just like nudged me over in this direction because I was heading down a path that I wouldn't have been able to recover from, and I wouldn't be able to sit here now and speak about it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's important to note that whatever we try and escape from, we end up breeding, becoming anything that we disown. So part of the healing journey is actually to go to that family, to those people, and own the things that you see within them, because otherwise, they're going to come back. They're going to come back and they're going to haunt you at some point.
yeah.
So
Forgiveness is a very powerful thing.
well, I actually, yeah, I mean, in the work that I teach, I don't actually believe in forgiveness. Like when you can see how every aspect of your life has played out as it has, like deeply, not just lip service, like everything's meant to be, but when you can actually go back and trace it all and look at the divine matrix and look how everything's played out to serve you to get you to this point in a deep fucking way, again, not lip service, you don't need to forgive because you're grateful for those moments where, like, yeah, it might have felt like torture, or yeah, it might have felt like, the most excruciating pain that you've ever been through, but you can see that without that moment, that catalyst moment, that you actually wouldn't be where you are today.
Mm.
And so you get to a point where it's like, yes, I forgive this person, but there's actually nothing to forgive. Like
I actually forgave myself a lot. Forgiveness of self.
I'm beyond forgiveness, because
Mm.
I can see how perfectly divine everything is. And yeah, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, like that's a step along the way. Anyone that's there, I would say keep going,
Yeah.
because you're not quite healed. When you're
No.
healed, you don't want to change anything. You
Do we
actually
ever
know.
truly fully heal though?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
You reckon we do as humans?
Not every aspect.
No. I
not
didn't think
every
so either.
aspect. I mean, there's so many layers to this, right? We're
Yep.
onions. There's so many layers to go through, but absolutely each trigger you will heal.
Yeah,
Each
that's
trigger you
true.
will
But
heal. And
things
then
keep coming up for you to go deeper again. Yeah.
exactly. And
Never ending.
it's all for our benefit, it's all for us to become, like I say, become these versions of you. Like you look at you now, you've written a book, you host a podcast. You wouldn't have done these things if you hadn't had the experiences that you've had in your life. And so they're there. Our challenges are there alone to catalyze us into the people that we're meant to be in this lifetime.
100%.
And so many people want to get rid of their problems, want to get rid of their challenges. And I'm not saying that you can't, and I'm not saying that that's not, you just want to look at them through the lens of, okay, how is this helping me, rather than how can I get rid of this problem? How is
Yeah, and
this
they
helping
and they
me?
use the many chemicals and many things and distractions out there to numb that feeling and numb
Look,
that reality.
totally. I even think that plant medicine in a lot of cases is being used to uh as a magic pill kind of thing to escape,
Agreed.
until you change the way you look at things. The things that you look at just aren't going to change.
Yeah.
And you know the deeper you're willing to go into your darkness and
Yep.
into that stuff that you'd rather not be, that person you'd rather not be, that shit you hate about you, the more you're going to become like the most amazing version of yourself. Like you can't escape it. You can't escape it through any means. And this is the karma, right? Like this is the repetitive karma that just keeps repeating again and again and again until we're ready to look at it and move on to the dharmic path. But anyway, back to you. I could rant all day. I could
That's true though.
ramble. So you had this awakening moment, in the last couple of years, and you've just gone full on into it.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your book, talk to me about your
Yep.
podcast and how you help.
I can talk to you about how this was birthed. All this was birthed on a trip me, my brother, and Dale did. We went up the northeast coast of Australia. We didn't take the juice that was offered, so we couldn't really go anywhere in Victoria. They wouldn't let us anywhere. So we were like, oh, well, we can go up to Queensland and go up the northeast coast. And I'd never been up the northeast coast before, so I went to Byron and Newcastle and where you're from and all these awesome places.
Yep.
And I got to Queensland, and my cousin had a friend that was a kinesiologist and a psychic and very much a healer, and I went and saw her. I didn't really believe in much of this stuff. That's how I'm a bit different now, but I was always skeptical.
Yeah.
I walk in there for that first session, and she saw me, and I never had anyone see me like that on that level before. And
Yeah.
she just went, not hi, how you going? She went, you look like you've slept with a lot of women. I
Yeah.
just went, all right, let's get to work, because I knew I had stuff that wasn't mine by then. I'd already started the Jason's program, and I just said, let's get to work. If someone could see me that didn't know me at all, hadn't seen me before, could
Mm.
get that from me,
Yeah.
I'm exploring that more. So I was
Yeah.
like, how do you do this? What do you do? Like, how did you know that I've slept around a lot in my past? Like, there's
Yeah.
something there that we all need to explore. And that started me off on the spiritual path, basically. I'd already started the spiritual stuff. That
Yeah.
just went, oh, if we can get that from
Kind of
someone without
floored
even
you.
seeing them,
Yeah.
that's fucking wild. I want to delve into that. So, yeah. So the book was birthed on that table. I went back. She goes, something happened to you when you were 6. And I was like, yeah, I'm going back there. The subconscious remembers everything. And I was sitting playing Lego in a classroom. Mum and dad were in there for a parent-teacher interview. And the teacher was telling them, and I was listening to this, playing Lego. We don't want Nathan writing about being a hero. I would write about the kicking a goal after a siren, hitting the winning runs in cricket. I'd write comics, and I'd write all these out there comics that would be highly like ghost stories and all these things. And they're like, oh, we don't want Nathan writing about that. We want him writing the copying their handwriting off the whiteboard and all this stuff. And I sat there and I took that story on. Like, I
Mm.
believed that my writing at that age wasn't worthy.
Yeah.
So I went back to that child in that moment on that table, and I said, Nathan, that's one person's perception of who and what you can be. There are 6 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
Like, like that's just one person's perception. Look at what you can do. Look at what you can be. Look at what you can say. It shifted so much inside of me that my book was birthed from that inner child. That 6 weeks went away, and I wrote that book in those 6 weeks. I
Yeah.
started the next day I got off that table.
Yeah. And the thing
Wild.
is, like, quite often when people say things like that, it's their own dreams that they've unrealized, their own unrealized dreams that they're projecting on, in that case, you. Like, we're not we're constantly mirrors, right? We're mirrors, and we're constantly
Yep.
reflecting different parts of ourselves. So that's such an odd thing to say about a child, that I've no doubt that teacher is actually projecting her unrealized dreams of being a writer herself.
Yeah. And my business and my podcast was all birthed from that little
Brilliant.
child that just didn't feel like he was worthy enough. But he took on one person's perception, and I allowed that to play out for 22 years.
Look, and we do. And, some of us play it out for 20, 30,
Oh,
40, 50, 60, 70 years, lifetimes even. Um, yeah. So good on you. Good on you for recognizing that and doing something about it. Really. Like,
yeah.
it takes balls to be on this journey, I think. It's not easy at times, like, dark nights of the
Yeah, you put
soul.
yourself out there, you speak your truth, and it doesn't resonate with Tom, Dick, and Harry down the road. But for me to deal with that with Tom, Dick, and Harry that sit online and sort of give you the needed comments, it's like, well, their friends are seeing their comment, so that's getting more eyeballs on your post. Now, Tom, Dick, and Harry's comment might be super negative, might even start an internet Facebook fight, but it's like other people are seeing that whole post, are seeing your wording, your voice.
Yeah.
What
And
if Tom, Dick, and Harry's friend comes to you and says, I really resonate with your post? It's like,
exactly.
job
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look, exactly. And there's no such thing as bad publicity. And look, there's always a balance
exactly.
in the universe. So the more support you get, the more challenge you're going to get. It's just the way it is. So to
Yeah,
the level of criticism you can handle is to the level that you will rise. So keep
100%.
going.
And then my book, so it's called Breaking Free. It's a
Mm,
teens and young adults guide to identifying their addictions and overcoming them. As I said, I wrote
beautiful.
that book in 6 weeks. As I said, I couldn't go anywhere and do anything. I was up here in Queensland. It was pouring rain, so we had the rain, and I just wrote the book. And yeah, I put in there my stuff, why I did the things I did, and then
Yeah.
a general overview of why people do the things that they do, and some tools and resources that really helped me back then. Like,
Yeah.
I've got so
Brilliant.
many more now. It's like nearly 3 years, but it's like
Mm,
for that moment of my life, those tools, those books, those
yeah.
meditations, those podcasts, everything in there really helped me to where I was then. And now it's just catapulted since. But
Yeah.
yeah, I look back on that book, and I reread it the other day, and I'm like, that was written for a specific person at a
Mm,
specific time that I'm not even going to bother even rewriting. It's like that can just stay there, and I'll write another
yeah.
one.
Yeah. And I've no doubt that whoever reads it's gonna, you're gonna help them massively with,
Yeah,
your sharing your experience, right? Because that's how
yeah.
we, yeah.
And the
Um,
podcast was birthed the same way. It was
mm,
just that child that found his voice, that could speak. I'd
yes.
often do the public speaking thing at uni, at school, and it was all this nerve-wracking experience. I'd stutter and slur my words because I wasn't confident speaking, because I just didn't believe that I was worthy enough to speak. But once I started listening to podcasts and listening to Dale and a few people speak about the things that were going on in the world, it's like, well, I know things too,
Mm,
and I can spark conversation with people. I've
mm,
always been able to do that. So why can't I
mm.
start a podcast and speak my truth and empower people, but also get some really awesome guests on?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
which is now 120 episodes in. It's like
Yeah.
my first episode was a bit of a shit show, but 100, but it's chalk and cheese now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where I am now to where I was, it's all there on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and Rumble. It's all there. You can watch the
Yeah.
first episode and then watch the latest and go, look how far that young buck's come.
Yeah, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
slurring his words. He was cutting the guest off. He was speaking way too loud. The microphone was turned right up. And it's
Yeah.
like, now he's more grounded. He's more calm. He's more centered.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. And look, it's a healing journey, right? Like doing those things that scare you, doing those things that empower you.
Yeah, that scared me that too, I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my podcast has been birthed out of my cancer diagnosis. Like I've got thyroid cancer. And so, anyone that knows anything about thyroid cancer, it's all about speaking up, it's all about speaking your truth. And that was the big thing for me was like, I mean, yeah, I wanted to have conversations with people, of course. But really like the thing that instigated it was, yeah, was this thyroid cancer and wanting to not live in my limitation and actually, work towards healing that. So
That's
thanks
awesome.
for being a part of it.
No, no worries.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of collaboration. Now, I didn't know that about you until we jumped on here. I'd
Yep.
love to get you on my platform so your listeners and viewers and well, obviously mine can hear your story too. It's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've got quite a story to tell. So yeah, happy to do that. That'd be great. Um, so talk to me about how you work with people. Like, do you do
Yep.
coaching? Do you do workshops, camps? What's the vibe?
At the moment, it's coaching. So I launched a program last year for teens and it was really, really successful. I sort of put a plan out there of what to do and it just did not go to plan. These kids were super spiritual and they wanted the spiritual juice, not the physical sort of health stuff that it was originally about. So I
Yeah,
went on like teaching about intuition and soul and how to manifest properly because at school you only get taught to set a goal and then
yeah,
just work towards it, right? There's
yeah,
no
yeah,
real you get to set a goal, set a big dream, then you got to detach from that dream and goal and allow any possibility of that thing coming. And I'll never forget the story. I had this email from his parent for the kid in the program. I have parents in my programs too. I believe that the
yeah.
parents
That's
need
great
this information just as much as the kids do to jump
for
on that
sure.
journey. This parent emailed me and said, Nathan, look, Joel wants a soccer ball. And I said, good. Can I use this in the coaching call? She goes, absolutely. I said, right, I'm just going to ask him how he's going to get it. And I know he's going to look at you and say, and I want you to say no
Yeah,
because I want him to open up his mind and expand the new ways this can come in. She goes, oh, this is beautiful. I said, right, Joel, tell me about your soccer ball. He's like, how'd you know that? I said, oh, I just know things, mate. He goes, I want a soccer ball. And I said, well, how are you going to get that soccer ball? He looked at mum. Mum went, no. Nah. And I went, right, Joel, just focus here for a second because he was like
yeah,
getting angry. He's like, I said, Joel, what's another way you can get that soccer ball? He's like, I don't know. I said, what if tomorrow you're down the street and you just happen to see someone that's giving away soccer balls, or you're in the supermarket or you're at the market or wherever you go, and there's someone handing out balls because their daughter or their son doesn't want to use them anymore? Or back when he was going to school, I said, well, what if the PE teacher, mate, ordered all these new soccer balls, right? And there's all these old ones here, but they're still pretty good, but there's just newer ones. And he's
yeah,
like handing them out. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. 3 weeks later, right? Mum rings me and says, Joel got a soccer ball today and he wants to tell you about it. Puts Joel on the phone. The kid got a soccer ball from school. The PE teacher did what I said he was going to do. He was
yeah,
throwing out the older soccer balls. They were still in good nick,
yeah. Love
but
it.
they got new ones. And the PE teacher handed me one. I said, Joel, did mum end up buying you that ball? He's like, no. I said, do you see what I did here? He's like, yeah. You expanded my ways of allowing that soccer ball in, didn't you?
Mm,
I said, yeah, I did, mate. And I said, that's big for you to recognize at only
mm,
14 years old.
It's
Like,
huge.
that's what they don't teach you at school. They don't teach you the manifestation trick because if they taught you that, well, the teachers would be out of a job.
Well, they teach really it's more the opposite of rather than expanding your mind, closing your mind. So
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, look, it's so important. It's so
Mm.
important to understand how our universe works, how to live in alignment with it, the magic that we can create. Like we are
Yep.
all gods in meat suits creating
Correct.
everything. And so this is one thing that I love to talk about because people run around setting boundaries, people pissing them off, cutting people out of their lives and whatnot, and it's like, hang on a second, you're missing a conversation with the divine here. Like,
Yep.
if you're God, that person's God. So what are you doing? But that I'm going to go off on a massive tangent if I keep going down that path. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful when you can teach a kid in their teenage years that they are God and that they have the power to create magic in their life. And I'm talking magic, I'm talking miracles, like, you know,
Yeah.
people, healing from all sorts of medical conditions, people,
Yep.
healing themselves from all sorts of emotional
Because
traumas.
it's the power of belief. If you
Yeah,
believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. It's as simple as that. It's just changing
totally.
that belief system.
Totally. And to not look at an obstacle, right? So his mum said no, that could be him going, oh, okay, well, that's not going to work, right? And then gives up. No, but don't look
Mhm.
at the obstacle as it's a dead end. It's just the next piece of information to uncover something else in your subconscious to get you closer to that thing. Um,
That's exactly right.
yeah, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful,
And I do one-on-one coaching as well. I coach teens and young adults mainly, and some
Mm,
adults have come to me as well. And then the most common thing out there is that when you come to me for coaching, I'm overhauling not just your physical, not just your mental, your
mm,
spiritual.
mm,
I'm overhauling your entire life here.
mm.
I'm sending you out a 150 question questionnaire, and you're putting your entire life story there. Like
Yep,
you're already starting that journey
yep,
by writing the responses on that. It's making my job easy. You're already ready to go. You're just
yep.
journaling. It's like a journal exercise. You're just journaling or typing up your life and
Yes.
just wanting something better. And I'm here to show you and to help you understand how you function
Mm,
and how you operate to change all of those functions and operations
mm,
towards your dreams, not towards the gutter. It's as simple as
mm,
that.
mm. I feel really emotional talking to you. I just think it's so fantastic that you're working with kids at that age. I wish I realized my magic at that age. I attempted suicide when I was 13. And it's prolific. It's a huge problem in the world at the
And that's
moment.
an interesting one you bring up because I work with a teen that was that way inclined at the start of the year. And in
Mm,
only it wasn't even 8 months, it was like 6 months. He went from that scale
yep,
to full-time job girlfriend, telling
beautiful.
her he loved her, but also he wasn't able to say those three words to himself for a long time.
Mm,
He was
mm,
able to say that not only to himself,
mm.
well, to himself is very important, but then to someone else, but then to feel that
Yes.
and to ring
Yes.
me up and say, I just told her that, bro. I said, mate, this is awesome. It gave me
Yeah.
like I'd shut myself off from all of that for 3 years. It gave me a bit of hope and be like, well, if a 16-year-old can go from that end of the scale to this end of the scale,
Yeah.
I'm not even on that end of the scale. Like, look what I can do. I can put myself back out there. But
Yeah.
he went from, yeah, that to that in 6 months. And it was just from someone listening. Like,
That's
I sat there
amazing.
with him
Mm,
and said hi and bye a lot.
mm.
In between the hi and bye was a lot of stuff that he just
Yeah.
needed to vent.
Yeah.
That's all these teens need is just someone to not judge them, to
Mm.
not cut them off and say anything, and to project their stuff back onto them, but just to say, hello, I'm here. What do you need? How can I help? And it's just a matter of me sitting there, holding
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
not saying a word. That's
Yeah.
all he
Look,
needed.
the power of love, right? And that's essentially what you're doing when you say that, right? Is you're loving that kid in that moment. You're just loving them. You're just loving
Mm,
them and allowing them to be whoever it is that they are, beyond the judgment, beyond the bullshit, beyond the arguments with the parents or
yeah.
the whatever. Like it's amazing. And it's an ability. An ability to do that too. Like to sit and hold space for someone, and like anytime someone comes into my world, I immediately can see their projected future, right? And I'm sure you do this with these kids too, right? It's like it's I don't know what it is. It's just like the moment I meet someone, I'm like, I can see who you could become immediately. And that's quite often all anyone needs is just for
Yeah.
someone to love
See
them
it.
and to believe in the
In
possibility
the,
of them becoming, this other version of self. And
That's because I had some beautiful mentors that saw my potential and I couldn't see it. I was in a very dark
yeah,
place myself. Now, it wasn't as dark as I often say, not as dark as others, but it was my version of a dark
Yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah,
And for me, that was still very dark.
yeah.
And
And it's all
people,
relative, right?
three people saw my potential
Yep,
because I couldn't see it. But as
yep.
soon as I say this a lot, as soon as I saw it within me,
Mm,
it lit this flame,
mm,
this spark that only I could put out because I had
yep,
control over it.
yeah,
But then it allowed me to see things differently. Now I could see everyone's potential. We all came here to do some awesome shit,
yep.
some really awesome shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that in everyone.
Yep.
And it really irked me for a while. I would be like, why aren't people stepping into this space? Then I sort of worked out we're all programmed not to.
Yeah, look, we are all programmed not to. And it takes a level of contrast to awaken, right? I mean, your
Correct.
experience was the COVID period. Mine was 20 years ago. Um, for some people it'll be, 20 years down the track, right? It
Yeah.
it it takes a level of contrast to awaken you. And so depending on where you're at in that journey, it's like, how much do you need? How much do you need to
Yeah.
do you need the slap in the face, or do you need to get really knocked down?
Or fall through a table. Like I
Yeah,
had to fall
fall
through
through.
that table.
Yeah, totally.
This is at 5 o'clock in the morning. That was too.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
Yeah.
it like knowing that it comes when it comes kind of allows me to sort of chill out a bit. Definitely, like I don't believe in divine timing in terms of, if someone's hearing a message that I'm saying, or that you're saying, that to me is the divine timing to do something. It's not the divine timing to wait for your manifestation. No, it's because the only thing stopping you from getting that thing that you want is your subconscious programming. So
Literally.
literally, as soon as you change your subconscious programming, that thing appears. So
Mm-hmm.
like the only divine timing is someone showing up in
You.
your world to help you change your subconscious programming, or you do it yourself. Like
Yep.
that's the only divine timing. It's not like, oh, Jill showed up in my world and it's divine timing and I'm gonna wait for my manifestation. No, no. Instantaneously it occurs.
Mm.
Like, yeah.
But this is the thing. People will go and see psychics and healers and different things, and they'll tell them things that they see in their future, but they'll walk away and not do anything. They'll sit and wait for it. Then they'll get this resentment, this anger, this rage, and be like, well, that psychic said X, Y, and Z was going to happen.
Yeah.
Never happened. And
Yeah.
and it's like, well, what action did you take? Like,
Yeah.
what did you do to change? Because they saw a certain timeline at a certain time for you to do something. Now, there were action steps that you would have needed to take to get that thing, except you were
Yeah.
sitting around waiting for it to happen. We got to
Yeah.
go out there and take action and then do the work, clear that programming, and lo and behold, that thing or that whatever is there.
Totally. And more than anything, like, open your heart. Your heart is your magnetic field. Like, it's the biggest magnetic field that we've got. So open your
100%.
heart. If you don't know how to do that, like, get in touch with someone who does, because that is how you become more magnetic. That is how you draw into your life, like, everything that you desire.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I want to talk to you. I have a question for you, but I think I'll leave it to the end. Is there anything else that you want to share in terms of like the work that you do with, I don't want to call them kids, but like teens and young people? Do you work with girls and guys, or is it purely young men,
No,
or?
I've had some young females jump on. I've had some older females jump on. It's not just for men; it's for women too. And
Yeah.
I do believe that what we're here to do and what I'm here to do is not just for one gender. It's for
Yeah.
everyone, and it's
Yeah.
for a younger tribe. And
Yeah.
and I do believe that our younger women are being programmed in a certain way and to do certain things that aren't necessarily them either. So it's a bit of both. And
Mm.
yeah, I've had young females jump on. I've actually had more female clients than male clients. So there you go.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, and a lot of our younger females are very, very powerful. Like our younger generation actually are. And if they had someone tell them that
Yeah.
that sets off so much for them.
Yeah.
because they've had all these people in their lives tell them that they shouldn't be something or shouldn't do something. Yet there's someone like me out here saying, you can be that, you can do that. Just go out there and fucking do it. And they take the bull by the horns and they go and do it. Like I had this young girl that worked with me last year, and she went from, not writing anything to writing a memoir and then
Yeah.
just putting it on Substack. I'm like, it happened in like 2 weeks. I was like,
Yeah.
shifted so much. It's like we can all shift so much just by having a conversation. And for me, talking to these younger children is me talking to my younger self, because I'm saying something to them that I needed to hear when I was that age. And I see a lot of myself in them. And yeah, it's a beautiful moment because I get a little bit emotional because I know I'm talking to me, but I'm talking to them too. And the things that I say, it's like in that moment when I was that age, I would love to have heard that. And it's not only healing them, but it's healing me.
100%. And look, there's no time and space, right? So you're actually healing the younger version of you as well. It's not just, what's going on right now.
Literally.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I really want to focus on the importance of taking action, because, I think that sometimes in these kind of spiritual communities, there's this idea that you just sort of set an intention and, you just wait for it to happen.
Love and light.
Yeah. And honestly, like the more action you take, the more you're going to become this other version of you that has the thing that you want. And also you're going to get the feedback back to say, if you take a step, right? If you don't know what step to take, but you take a step, you're going to get feedback to know whether it's the thing that you want or not, right? And then you can take another step and you can gauge the feedback. And then you can take another step and gauge the feedback. If you're sitting at home meditating, hoping that your life is going to change, you're not getting any feedback on the direction of it. And you're not making any progress. Like, do something, take a step, get a coach, like just do something to take action towards your dreams, because you're worthy. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are on this planet. You're worthy of living a life that you love.
Yeah, I did a lot of that myself. I started this journey, shut myself off from women for a few years and just meditated and waited for things to happen. It's like, then there was that swift kick in the face, be like, well, you actually need to take action and start putting yourself out there and taking life by the balls. I say that a lot, taking life by the balls and just going out there and just making it happen. There's only so much you can do on a meditation table or a meditation floor or wherever you like to do. There's only so much you can do there. It's your real test is actually embodying those things that you're dreaming of embodying in that meditation out there in the big, big, big world. And that was the biggest thing for me in the last 3 months. I've thrown myself back into the dating space, and I knew I was going to meet someone and have a connection as that, but I was waiting for that connection and it never came because I wasn't taking any action. I wasn't talking to women. I wasn't even doing any of those things. It's like, well, start sparking conversation, start taking action and throwing yourself back out there. The moment I did that, that was where the test started coming. It's like, you've been 3 years of saying that you're going to do this a certain way. Now you're going to get out there in the big, big world, and we're going to test to see if you're really ready and truly ready to embody that version. I've had the most wild 3 months in the dating space, good, bad, and ugly, and also very fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Every single trigger is trying to show you a piece of you that you've disowned that needs to come back home to become the version of you that has that dream relationship.
But I wouldn't have experienced any of those things if I hadn't just taken some action. I would have still been on the meditation table waiting for that connection. That connection's always going to come, but I had to learn some lessons along the way. And I had some beautiful people tell me that I was going to learn lessons, but I was still waiting for those lessons. I wasn't taking the action to learn them. And as soon as I threw myself back in that space, it has just been one thing after another, but it's just been the most beautiful journey.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually seeing how far I've come in actually holding space for a woman.
Yeah.
And all these moments, I could talk about this for the next 2 hours, but it's like, I just took one simple piece of action and bang.
Yes.
Nathan's learning again.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't
No,
stop.
it doesn't.
And I think that that's that's another important thing that I want to share with our listeners is the one thing after another, because sometimes people can feel like, they're trying to create their dream life, they're trying to manifest things, and, they just get into this sort of
Negative.
path of like one thing after another kind of thing.
Mm.
But the one thing after another is actually the path. That is the path.
Just about to say that. Yep.
That is the path. That's not, you're not doing it wrong. Like that is the path.
That means things are happening. It's a good thing. I get excited when shit comes up for me to deal with. I'm like, well, I'm getting one step closer to whatever it is. Doesn't matter what aspect of my life it is. I get excited about it. I'm like, I even sometimes just blurt it out. I say, you're going to make me uncomfortable soon. And they're like, oh yeah, haha. 5 minutes later, bang. I'm like, I told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get excited about it. I'm like, that means things in my life are starting to shift and move, and I'm starting to grow. And I'm like, I'm back.
100%.
Because there was some moments before I took action in the dating space and some other areas of my life where I was stagnant, things weren't really moving, and I was in a bit of a lull.
Yep.
But as soon as I just took a little bit of action, watched some videos and started talking to women again, it just went boom.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now there's some growth. Now things are moving and I'm one step closer to where I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Get excited. Everyone out there, get excited for the one thing after another. Don't see it as a negative. See it as a positive. See it as, hey, look, this is just going to shed something that I don't no longer need, that's going to help me grow and evolve and move forward to get to that goal or that person or whatever it is that's just right there, ready.
Yeah.
Means you're getting closer to it.
We say the universe has our back, and it's true. It's absolutely true. But people will so quickly have something happen in their life that they don't want and think, oh, no, it doesn't. But no, you don't, you're missing it. Like, I feel like I spend half of my day saying, you're missing it, like screaming at people, like, because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that we have a universe that loves us so fucking much that it will draw people to us to help us to find the missing parts of ourselves, like to help us to convert into this other version of self that is our dream life. Like,
literally,
come on.
How can you not get excited about it?
Yeah. Well, look, and I do get it though, because there's a lot of people out there in the spiritual community who don't have all of the information, right? They don't have necessarily all of the tools that they need to be able to look at life like this. And I do believe that this is part of the spiritual revolution. And I want to ask you on that point. I mean, I could talk to you forever, but before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, like, what is a spiritual revolution to you? Because I think it's here. We're leading it. It's happening.
Yep.
What does it mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you what it's not first. It's not love and light, because you're avoiding the darkness. Now, that darkness, I'll admit, exists within the world. There are some really dark stuff going on in the world. But there's also light as well. It's that balance, right? The pendulum has been in the darkness for a very, very long time. It's swinging the other way towards light, but it's swinging just to light. We need to balance that out within ourselves too. We can't all be love and light in the 6D, 7D, 9D, 10D, wherever these love and light people go, because they're avoiding that dark place. But it's not just the dark place out there. It's the dark place within. They're too high up here, and there's not enough we're just avoiding those darker places.
Avoiding. Love and lighters are avoiding. There's
correct.
We're never going to be without darkness. We cannot be without darkness. We live in duality. We're never going to transcend to some magical
And the spiritual revolution is the things that we came here to do. We came here to shake this place up. We came here to build these healing centers, these retreats. We came here to not only heal ourselves, but to help others heal them. Now, a lot of healers I don't call them healers for a start, because we're just giving them the tools to be able to heal themselves.
Totally.
And we're building these alternative systems because we came here to learn about what this system does and how we can build something better over here. Now, we're going to be in a point of history, which we probably already are in, where we're going to have to make a choice. you go down the path of self-healing, self-enlightenment, self-discovery, whatever you want to call it, or you stay stuck and stagnant inside this system that is crumbling. It's like, where do you want to go? Because for me, I went that way because I knew what I came here to do. I just needed someone to see it within me. I always knew I came here to help heal the family bloodline, to leave this place better than when I found it, but not just this place, but my family and then for the future generations. Now we get very stuck in the regret of being on the deathbed, looking each other in our family members in the eye and saying, I should have, I could have, I would have, and I didn't. I had a moment where I went, what if I flipped this and went, I'm going to look my great grandkids in the eye, my grandchildren, my children, whoever else is there, and saying, I did X, Y, Z, did everything I wanted to do. Not only that, built this for you guys to just do whatever the freaking you want with it. I'm just going to go off into the next life and guide you all to wherever you need to go. See you later, show over. That's a better place to be than the flip side. And for me, I actually envisioned that moment. And it's like, I want to be that guy in that room or in that field or wherever I am and having that conversation. But then dealing with the fact of, hey, if that doesn't happen, then dealing with those emotions and being like, well, hang on, there's a bit there too. It's like, I want to be that guy.
And this is the thing too, right? Like, it's our attachment that keeps the things from us. And,
Correct.
you know, anytime anyone's expecting a one-sided person, a one-sided situation, a one-sided world, they're going to be gravely disappointed because that's not the place we live in. That's not our job. Our job is to actually love what is, not to you know, think that everything's going to be love and light and perfection. It just doesn't work that way. So
yeah, and that's the big thing for me was breaking out of that perfectionist. Like, I always wanted things to go perfectly. Like that coaching program I said before, I had a plan for it and a structure. And in the first 5 minutes, I actually ripped it up and went, well, this is not going the way I wanted it to. And that's okay. We're going to go a spiritual path. All right. I said, what do you kids want to learn about the spiritual, like about you and about your soul? And then they gave me all these ideas. I went, right, there's our 6 weeks of content. Bang, done. They wrote it themselves.
Yeah. It's
and I'd spent like months planning this thing. And anyway.
It's taken me 15 years to write this. And
ripped it up in 5 minutes. Wild. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Thanks for being on the show. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I could talk to you for ages.
Same here. But we're gonna anyway. You're gonna come on my show.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to come and talk to you again. Let us know before you go. How's the dating scene going for you? Like, have you found someone? Are you not ready to?
Good question.
Share?
No, I can share. It's been an experience. Like, I took the action. I downloaded one of the apps, and I was very outspoken about these apps, and I had to sit with that too. And I did download one just to take some action, just to test the waters. And to be honest with you, I didn't even need the app because that just set off the ether into the I could just be out talking to someone or wherever. And I have started the dating. I've gone on a few dates now, and it's been a different feel because my intention's different. My intention's pure. My intention probably 5-6 years ago was let's just see when we can get to the bedroom. Now it's this pure heart-centered thing. And I know that they're conscious and that they see me, but I equally see them too. So it's this beautiful energy of, well, we're seeing each other and I'm sharing the deep parts of me and they're sharing the deep parts of themselves. And there's this beautiful connection. I'm just getting all these awesome connections come in. It's really great. And I've had some moments of vulnerability and uncomfortability, and I'm very grateful for them and very grateful for those women that held that space for me.
Yeah, nice. And just know too that the perfect one's probably going to be the one that you don't agree with. It's probably going to be the one that you argue with most, that you
heard that before.
because we attract our disowned parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we attract our triggers.
There's a woman I'm just currently dating at the moment that that's
someone's ringing a
triggering
bell.
the fuck out of me. Yeah, she'll probably listen to this and she knows who she is. Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing though, because it's bringing up those other parts of me that I wouldn't have been able to experience if I had to just laid on a meditation table and just waited for it, right?
No. Relationships are the most healing things that you can possibly explore if you're willing to go there. But
took me a while to be willing. I will share one quick funny story about the dating
Yeah.
space. Now, when I moved up here last year from Victoria to Queensland, I downloaded all the apps. I downloaded your Tinder, your Bumble, and your Hinge, right? It's a funny story because I didn't get one single match on any of those apps. And it really brought up a lot of like I always had this perception I was pretty attractive and pretty good looking dude. Now, I didn't get any matches on this app. So it really just went slap to the ego and be like, well, were you actually really ready for what you were putting out there as to what you wanted? And I hadn't gone on that deeper journey of what I truly wanted and how to hold space for a female and all those things. The universe just went, no, you're not ready. We're going to give you no matches and no communication. And that was a real brutal thing for me because I brought a lot of self-worth and a lot of deeper stuff that I then downloaded the app, got a couple of, and then just in person, do all these things happen. It's like, well, from that moment to that moment, and it's like I was truly ready.
Yeah, love it.
I had no matches.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Keep us posted on the situation. I'm sure everyone that listens will want to be invited to the wedding. And
yeah, it'll be a wild wedding, that one.
So good, so good. Look, it's so great to talk to you, Nathan.
Me too.
I know it took a while for us to get here with all the challenges, but yeah, I really look forward to talking to you again soon, and I'll be sure to pop the links below this episode so that people can get in touch with you. I've got no doubt that there's plenty of teens and young people out there that are just chomping at the bit to have a mentor like you to help them kind of navigate those difficult years. So yeah.
Thank you, Jill. Awesome conversation. Awesome podcast. I hope all my listeners and viewers subscribe to you too after this one.
Thank you.